Hello everyone, this is Dunk, and I'm here to talk about a mod for Civ 6. I made a video about a month ago talking about some changes that I was working on for Civ 6. Didn't have any plans to do anything with it at that time, but I actually decided to put it into a mod, learn how to do that, figure all that stuff out, and I think I'm about ready to release it. So, with that in mind, I want to talk about it for a bit. There's a few things that are different from the last time I showed stuff off, a few new features and stuff. It is called Agricultural Revolution. It says depends on Rise and Fall and Vikings DLC. That is incorrect. There's a ton of stuff. Most of the existing DLC are kind of required. I may split those up into separate mods or something, but whatever. Anyway, in this sort of show-off playthrough, I'm going to be using city roads, which makes it easier to get around your empire a little bit. Enhanced forts, because this allows forts to claim tiles around them when they're settled in neutral territory. Using gold resource, which is the Outback Tycoon resource just enabled in the base game. Half unit building and production cost, because we're going to play at epic speed. More barbarian experience, more lenses. Red, just a graphical mod. And historical religions. Oh. Ooh, and dynamic city names. So that's going to make city names cultural, which will be kind of cool. So I'm going to create a game, put on epic speed, random, Prince is fine. Let's go.
From the first stirrings of
right.
life beneath water
We got Lautaro.
to the great beasts of the Stone Age.
Actually, played a game as Lautaro the other day, and that was quite fun. I have played a few full games with this mod, just to see how it goes throughout. I do want to talk a little more in depth about the changes I've made, but I may do that as I encounter things that make it necessary to talk about them. I have to write up a full document on all the changes. Okay, so if you're not familiar with the last video, the biggest and most immediate change is that all tiles have one food subtracted from them. So grassland, just one, plains, just a production. Alright, we can have cows in the forest here. We're going to settle in place. Alright. Okay. Marsh subtracts a food, does not add a food, so you really want to clear out marshes whenever you can. What are we going to do here? We're going to do a scout first turn. And here, we can see a ton of resources are locked behind text, not just strategic resources, but bonus and luxuries as well. We can see that mining reveals copper, diamonds, and salt. Animal husbandry reveals truffles. Camps are available from the beginning of the game. You do not need animal husbandry to make those. Irrigation reveals cocoa, coffee, cotton, spices, sugar, tea, and olives. It also allows farms to be built in desert, gives farms +1 food adjacency from oases, and gives farms on rivers +1 food. Irrigation is incredibly important to get in every game. Archery, the boost does now make 3 camps. You can put camps on cattle and sheep, as well as pastures, so if it's kind of iffy whether or not you'll get this boost, but it's not as difficult as that maybe sounds at first. Sailing reveals crabs, fish, and pearls. Currency reveals silver. You may have noticed writing does not have a campus in it. That may be interesting to some people. Instead, we have this archive building. So it says +1 science, +1 production, goes in the government plaza, does not replace any existing government plaza buildings, it's in addition to those. 2 gold maintenance per turn. However, it has that ability where every era after you build it, it gains +1 science. So if you build it in the ancient era, then in the classical you get 2 science per turn. In the medieval you get 3 science, then 4, 5, 6, 7, and finally 8, I believe. So you may be wondering, where did the campus go? That's a very good question. We have a new tech called Philosophy here. The boost is just have jam and poetry, and you get the School of Philosophy, which gives science and culture, and the campus. So that's kind of interesting. What else? We can see the wheel is boosted by building a pasture, not having a mine. Bronze working is boosted by building a copper mine. Irrigation is 3 farms, which is easier to get in pretty much every game, rather than just hopefully having wheat or rice or something. What else are we going to see? Archers have a base strength of 20, not 25. However, when you have bronze working, archers get +3 combat. When you get iron working, archers get an additional +2, so 5 in total, which puts them back to where they started. And when you get construction, they get another +5, which puts them up to 30. So that means that depending on where in the ancient or classical era you are, your archers are going to have different combat strengths. Spearmen get the +5 bonus at ironworking as well. So our spearmen, which is base 25, will also go up to +30 when you get ironworking. Swordsmen are base 36. Spearmen do not have a combat penalty, or rather, swordsmen don't have a combat bonus. Swordsmen and warriors don't have a combat bonus versus spearmen. So a spearman can take on a warrior well enough. Spearmen do not get a generic combat bonus versus cavalry units, which is ranged, heavy, and light. They get a 10-point defensive bonus against heavy cavalry, a 15-point defensive bonus against light cavalry, and no combat bonuses versus ranged cavalry. So that's interesting. They are weak to siege units, so catapults now have a +10 bonus versus spearmen, pikemen, and those sorts of units. What else have we got? Chariots require horses and are quite a bit stronger than they used to be. They cost 1 more gold per turn maintenance. They have 1 more movement than they have base, which was base 2, and an extra 1 if they start in a flat tile. Now it's base 3 and an extra 1, and I believe their strength is a little bit higher. Horseback riding boost is kill a unit with a chariot. I think before it was have a pasture or something, but of course that's boosting the wheel now. What else? Construction is build any specialty district. I don't remember exactly what it was before. Construction is required for shipbuilding, which reveals whales. Mathematics requires philosophy and currency. Currency requires bronze working. Engineering requires construction now. It used to just be like the wheel or something. We enter the medieval era. Apprenticeship requires build 3 different specialty districts. So the idea there is that if apprenticeship is, about a system in which masters in a craft will take on apprentices to train them up. So the boost to that is having 3 different specialized areas where people can practice different crafts. So apprenticeship is going to reveal dyes and silk. We have education here. We have castles, which the boost is now have the defensive tactics civic. Military engineering, we get the military engineer, we get the armory. No niter here though, because we have a new tech called alchemy, which requires military engineering and education, reveals mercury, niter, and gives +1 science to workshops. Yes, boost have a workshop next to a mountain. We have gunpowder, now requires alchemy rather than military engineering. Cartography is boosted by discovering a second continent. So that's cool. Astronomy now requires, I don't know if it's very completely obvious, but astronomy requires celestial navigation. Square rigging, kill a unit with a caravel, not with a musketman. Mass production is now at the end of the Renaissance era rather than the beginning. It leads directly into industrialization. And it's build 3 workshops. Siege tactics no longer unlocks forts. Forts actually come back in castles, so that's a little earlier in the game. And so you can actually put your castles around the map when you unlock castles. I thought that made things a little more interesting. What else do we have? Industrialization is boosted by growing a city to 13 population. Steam power by building 2 factories. Sanitation, build 2 neighborhoods. I believe that is the same. We'll see that we have another new tech over here. Chemistry no longer requires sanitation. Biology does. So biology just gives +1 science to jungles. I kind of wanted to see if there was something more I could do with that. +1 science to jungles can be quite powerful if you have a jungle city. So that's a thing. And biology leads right into medicine here. So boost to medicine is have 3 medics. We can see that it unlocks the hospital. So +4 food from the hospital, +0 science. Not entirely true because it gets science equal to the adjacency bonus of whatever campus it's in. So if your campus has +4, then you have +4 science. The research lab gets a base of +6, but of course doesn't provide any of the extra stuff like the food. Housing, you get 3 housing from a hospital. You get 1 amenity from a hospital. So, and you can only build 1 or the other. It does cost more per turn, 5 versus 3. But you may want to wait just to get the hospital rather than building the research lab. If you are going for a space race victory, then research lab may be what you go for, especially to get that earlier science. But if you're sort of going for some other victory condition, maybe just getting big cities is what you're looking for. We can see that electricity requires steam power. Flight requires combustion. Combustion requires steam power. So no more gliders, for whatever reason, without the ability to have engines. Radio requires electricity. That was very important to me. Rocketry requires advanced flight and advanced ballistics. Rocketry unlocks the launcher of satellite, which is the first project in the space race. That's all pretty normal. However, we have another project, a communication satellite. In the satellite's tech, you have to have launched your Earth satellite to unlock this. It is a little cheaper than the Earth satellite, because once you launch the first one, you kind of know what you're doing. You can launch 5 of these across your empire. Each one gives you plus 10% global tourism. So it gives you a reason to actually start down the science path, even if you're not planning to go for the science victory. If you're trying to go for the tourism victory, this gives you an interesting thing to do, which I thought was pretty cool. And that is the end. Lock boost trigger satellites. I guess I'll have to fix that. The actual boost to satellites is once you launch this Earth satellite, you get the boost to satellites. Previously, you could only boost it through a great scientist, but I thought it made a lot more sense for having this satellite boost it. What else do we have? A lot of these techs seem to be pretty spread out, and that's because they cost a lot more. A lot of them. Civics tree, not nearly as many changes. Craftsmanship unlocks or reveals gypsum, jade, marble, and amber. The boost is having pottery. Foreign trade is to meet another civilization. I thought that made a lot more sense than writing. The purpose of writing originally was for record keeping track of taxes, stuff like that. It's one of the reasons that we have the archive in the government building. It's inspired by a number of the archives found in various cities in the Middle East, like Hattusha and a few others. So we have that. State workforce, improve 6 tiles. Military edition, kill 3 barbarians. Early Empire, research writing. Early Empire gives +1 gold to farms, which is to represent how important controlling farms was to obtaining wealth in the ancient world. If you controlled the food, you had the money. So farms make food. So the more farms you have, the more gold you get. Mysticism reveals incense and tobacco. The boost for political philosophy is now building the government district rather than meeting 3 city-states. German poetry is clear barbarian encampment. I haven't changed nearly as many of the others. So recorded history is now build a wonder. Defensive tactics is build 3 walls. Feudalism is build 9 farms, just because there's such a greater focus on building farms now that building 6 of them is something that I found I was getting in the ancient era, so I had to change that a bit. Civil service is build 5 unique specialty districts. I believe it was get a city to size 10 before. A lot of these are pretty much the same. Yup. These seem to be pretty much the same. Do we see anything? Urbanization is now research industrialization. Scorched Earth is conquer a city. Nationalism, that might have always been declare war. I think it was. So that, I don't know if I changed that. That might have been the same. What else? Conservation reveals turtles. This is a personal thing for me. I really don't like that turtles are a resource. I think it's really sad that turtles around the world are hugely threatened. And I don't like the idea of people cutting them up and eating them. Or whatever, however you're harvesting them. So I've made it so that you have to have conservation to get them. And that means that in my head, they're a tourist thing or something. What else do we have? That may be the end of the changes. Alright, cool. So that's nice. Choose our research. I think we're going to go mining with all the stone around. Also, I'd like to see the copper or diamonds if we have any. What resources? We have this cattle. I think I'm actually going to spend my initial builder on building farms. Maybe improving the stone, but I don't think we're going to get a chance to work these tiles. They have very little food. And in the early game, it's very important to have food. So we're not growing very much at the beginning of the game. I think that's pretty obvious. So we're going to have to put up a ton of farms. Luckily, we have a bunch of flat tiles. If you don't have flat tiles, that can be more problematic, but that's something you just have to work with. Oh, there is a scout. We're going to hit him. Already like halfway through the video. Barely started anything. Alright, so we get that guy out. And we're going to go immediately into a builder. We really want to start improving our tiles. What are you doing? Yeah. Barbarian encampment over there. Barbarian encampments do not spawn spearmen. By default, they spawn warriors and melee class units in general. We could talk a little bit more about a few combat changes. Knights. Let's just take a look at knights for a sec. Knights. So they cost 5 gold per turn. They are, I think, 2 or 3 points stronger. Still require iron. I believe they get a movement penalty without horses. That should be working correctly. So they are pretty strong. The fact that they're not as heavily countered by pikemen is a little interesting. Swordsmen have a +10, currently +10 defensive bonus. So if you're attacking a swordsman, they have 10 more combat than if they were attacking you. I might change that to 5, because 10 is a little bit strong, especially because their base strength is 36. However, musketmen have a -10 when defending. Which is interesting because swordsmen then go from strong on defense to weak on defense. And that's mostly because musketmen at this point in history, they were less heavily armored than before. Shields basically went away. Body armor sort of became not as useful just because guns got so powerful. And it got to the point where if you wanted mobility and cost effectiveness, you just didn't put armor on people. Maybe a helmet or something. There was cloth armor, but not metal armor. So they're weak to defending. They just get mowed down by each other. So that's interesting. Well, we can see here, Desert has a movement cost of 2. Ooh, free recon unit. That's nice. Okay. Oh, hey. Frederick Barbarossa. Hey, buddy, how's it going? Take a delegation. Cool. All right. All right, so just gonna build some farms. So it puts it up to 2 food, which will be the first tile that would actually make the city self-sufficient. There's no real barbarian threats right now, so I may go directly into another builder. That's something I've started to do. I mean, we are on a lower difficulty, so maybe that makes it easier to try that, but yeah. Alright. Oop. There's my phone. 1 second. So we're going to make that farm. To make sure that these guys don't come after us in a little bit. So just keep an eye on them. Interesting, so many mountains around here. Alright, let's head over here. Alright. I do want to get some exploration done though. My playstyle may not be optimal. The fact that I don't do so great on higher difficulties is probably pretty evident of that. So we got our boost to irrigation just now, which is great. I'm about to pick up mining.
When you find yourself in a hole, quit digging.
I'm gonna go towards pottery. One thing I didn't mention, irrigation does require both mining and pottery now, not just pottery. Masonry also requires both of these, and so does bronze working. Actually, a ton of these 3 techs all require both of these. Alright, that says major defeat. Maybe we'll just hold off on that one for a little bit. Until we get our combat bonus versus barbarians policy. Alright, so there's some salt over there. Oh, we have some salt in our capital. That's nice. Didn't reveal anything else, though. Oop. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to just improve this. Not that it really does much. I'm gonna make a slinger. Slingers aren't as important because you don't need them for the archery boost, although archers are still a nice unit to have. Alright, I am going to make a camp here. I think, are we still locked on that tile? Yeah, I don't want to really necessarily. Sure, you want to. I don't see what the difference is. In fact, we are going to improve that tile, so if that's the alternative you think you have, we'll just leave it. Because it's going to get an extra gold in a sec. Alright, I don't like this. I want one of you to move because I'm just. Okay, thank you. 60 bucks. Alright, you're scary. I don't like you. We actually might improve the salt. We might use that money we just got, buy that tile, and we'll spend our last charge on getting that hooked up. Later on, I will have to chop down this forest in order to improve that with a proper pasture, if I feel like that is what I want to do. So we get our gold. Okay. Cool. I do want to check over this way in a little bit. Alright, so you're no longer growing because you're probably working a tile that will prevent your growth. Because you're dumb. So now it becomes what we're doing now. I forgot to mention earlier, Managed City Center is a new project you can work on. It costs 9,999 production. You're not meant to complete it. It does not give you anything when you finish it. But while you're working on it, 5% of your production will be converted to gold, science, culture, and food, and you'll get +1 amenity. It's just something you can do if you don't want to do anything else. It won't run out every turn or two. I know that's the slog at the end of the game when you're just trying to find something for your cities to do for the last, 20 or so turns if you're working towards that final victory. So yeah. I think let's just make some more. Let's make a slinger. A little more military presence. Oh, there's Toronto, my home city. In real life. Thank you, buddy.
At his best.
Alright, there's our combat bonus, and we'll take God King, because I want to get a Pantheon. Okay. Yeah, you go that way, you come back this way. You do that. Alright. These tiles are worth the same. Oof. Alright, I gotta decide where I'm gonna put my next city. And you're not like trying to go to a high population before you do that. You really just try and get a city as fast as you can, because worrying about getting high population early on is not as big a deal. In fact, I've noticed it's really food that limits your city growth in this version of the game, not housing, because with all the farms that you end up building, you get a lot of housing. We could talk about where we're going to put some districts in a bit. Once that becomes... Ooh.
It appears not to be the scar of a meteorite, but a deeply eroded dome with a rainbow-inspired color scheme.
That is cool. What does that do? +1 production. If the game reaches the atomic, it provides... Oh, science. Huh. That's weird. Is that a mod? No, I don't think so. No, it can't be a mod, because that was Sean Bean talking. Yeah. Alright, I want to get rid of this barbarian encampment. I'm going to bring... You're going to go down this way, and I'm going to bring you this way. Alright. Oh, hey, don't do that. That was not very nice. No more encampment for you. Actually, we'll just take the slinger up there. Monument? No, we're gonna go for the settler now. The growth is not huge around here, and it won't be that great until we hit irrigation in in a bit. So going to 3 population is going to be a lot harder than going to getting back to 2. So I don't actually care about killing a unit with the slinger, because that does not give us the boost. So I'm not going to try and risk it. I'm just going to run away. Ooh, look at that. Lots of mountains up here.
I thought clay must...
Yep. I don't want to get messed up by that dude. See, I don't like that when that happens. Fortify you get some combat bonus and heal up a little bit this turn. We're going to go immediately towards irrigation, because our city will be kind of poopy until then. Alright. I think that should be... Yeah, you could take that. Alright. And you got a promotion. Awesome. Maybe we can swing around from behind. Alright, now we're just going to promote you, which will work out great. I hate that they pillaged my tile, though. That is rather annoying. Alright, so that doesn't connect. That's weird. I wonder where this goes. Cool. Oh, okay. And you're dead. Alright. Okay, so that's a dead end. Interesting. Cleared out the barbarians, so that's cool. One of the change I've made is I found that farms got a little too powerful too quickly early on, so feudalism. That's a civic, actually. Feudalism. The boost. Yeah, so instead of having +1 food for every 2 adjacent farms, farms get +1 food for every 3 adjacent farms. And then when you get, was it civil engineering or something? Is that it? Or no, it's like, is it a tech? Is it a tech? Later on. Yeah. I gotta update that text. So this one's actually +1 food to every 2 farms. So that becomes that bonus. However, industrialization does give you +1 food to every farm again. So in the long run, farms may end up being a little stronger in this version of the game. But I think that's okay. I was just mostly looking for the contrast between the early game and the late game. So I want, I don't mind if farms get better. Because farms have gotten a lot better. Especially around the industrial period. One of the things about the industrial period was how much more efficient food production became. Alright, so we're going to decide where we're going to settle our city. I'm just thinking up here somewhere. Sure, right there, that's fine. Oh, look at all this. I don't know. I don't think I want to go over here though. Do a granary. Alright. Oh, hey, this guy's coming along. And he's turning around? Okay. Keep an eye on you, buddy. I mean, if you don't want to settle a city, that's fine by me. I'm not gonna stop you. Maybe we'll settle a city over here later. This looks kind of fun. It'd be kind of a cool place to have a Petra. Bunch of desert hills. Petra used to give +2 food, +1 production, +2 gold to desert tiles. Now it's only +1 food. Part of that is because even grassland tiles only give you 1 food. You can build farms after irrigation on all desert tiles, so not that bad actually. And especially with the oasis bonuses, you may actually end up with stronger desert cities. But I felt that the 2 food thing was a little extreme. Other bonuses that have changed. Khmer. Yeah, so they used to get +2 food from farms adjacent to aqueducts. Now it's +1. That's just because that would have been too strong otherwise. And holy sites only provide +1 food, not +2 for being on a river. Again, that's just because 2 food's a lot now. Because I'm trying to make food a harder resource to come by. At least in the early game. What else we got then? Yeah, so what is that wonder called? Natural wonder. Eyjafjallajökull or something? I've tried to learn how to pronounce that. Eyjafjallajökull or something? I don't know. I know that's like a tl sound. Jökull. Anyway. Culture and food. I think it was +1 culture, +2 food. I put it down to +1. For the same reason mentioned before. Kilimanjaro is +2 faith instead of +2 food to adjacent tiles, just because +2 food was pretty insane. You do, however, get a +1 food to farms and pastures built adjacent to it, and +1 gold to adjacent plantations. So the whole idea is how fertile the land is nearby, at least in this version of the game. I believe in Gathering Storm it's going to change. And I'll have to deal with that when that comes out. I'm thinking because there's going to be so much food to do with fertility that tiles get, it may be difficult. But, yeah. So +1 food to farms built next to it. So you actually have to work for it. You get the faith regardless, but you have to farm or pasture or plantate. adjacent to get the those bonuses. So that's kind of cool. A giant barrier. Oh man, this video's been going on for a little while. I'm gonna settle my city, pick up this goody hut, and then I'll probably call it there. I may record another one right after this, or get some dinner because it's 6:10. I don't really know what I'm doing for dinner tonight. So, I also was thinking about settling over here. These cities should not interfere with each other that much. I could settle closer to Aachen over here to try and put some more pressure on him, but I'm not going to. So we got Ainel here. Ainel. I'm gonna go with Ainel. That sounds better. I feel like you got chances to mispronounce that otherwise. Gonna go with the builder, I think, first. And a free recon unit. Alright. You're gonna go to explore. So guys, hope you enjoyed this video. It's not my usual content. I'm gonna get back to working on TFC Plus in the next few days. I really just wanted, once I started working on this, just wanted to get it out there. I'm gonna update it with when Gathering Storm comes out. But I'm going to work on these in parallel and hopefully put more of my focus towards TFC Plus in the future. Thanks guys for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. I will put up at least one more video in this game, maybe two, or it could turn into a series if you guys enjoy this. So thanks a second time for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.